Hello and welcome to this week's edition of not Talk on Tech. Hey everybody, welcome back to my IT 297 internship interviews. This year being the spring 2026 semester. Today we got two interviews for you, and our first person here today is Nathan Gorrell. How are you, Nathan?
Pretty good. How about you, Patrick?
Pretty good. Great to see you. Great to meet you in person, finally.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard these before, I kind of like to allow everybody to hear your trajectory into IT, how the bug bit you, how you got on here. And, a lot of times I like these for a couple reasons. One, you're here at the end of your journey at Mount West. You may have advice for things you wish you'd have done differently that you may be able to impart to the people watching this. And they'd be like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to learn from his advice. But also, everyone's trajectory coming in here is completely different. And many people out there may potentially watch this and be like, you know what, I can't be him. Like my story is different than him. And, there's always something to be said about like finding somebody where you're like, oh, he did get into this the same way I did, or she did get into this the same way I did. And so like, I like to show that there's not a one size fits all journey into this. So all that being said, long-windedly, how did the IT bug or computer bug bite you, sir?
All right. Well, ever since I was a little kid, I always liked playing games, whatever. And my dad was really got us into that when I was a little boy. And at first, I did get my drafting certificate for drafting like an AutoCAD and stuff like that. I did that for a couple of years. Then COVID hit. I got let go. Job pay wasn't that good unless I went and farther on in my degree. So I was like, thinking about it on computers, I really like working on computers more than I would say the AutoCAD part. So I was like, let's just try that out. So that's what I did. I came here.
So to take me back a second, I want to check. So you went the CAD route,
Yep.
Kind of the engineering route.
Yep.
Were you doing that in high school?
Yeah. Yep. I went there in high school, got my certificate at the PCTC and stuff like that. And then got a job maybe a year or two after that.
Gotcha.
And then did that for a couple years. COVID happened.
So you were out working in the field with that?
Yep.
Okay. And so when COVID happened at that point, was it more difficult to do the drafting job? They weren't letting you do that from home?
Yeah, they wouldn't let us do it from home. I was the new guy when my job, and they had to cut budget, whatever. So they ended up cutting me. I was the newest guy. And I wasn't getting paid that much anyways. So actually, my older brother worked at Home Depot for a moment. And he's like, hey, come here and work here for a while. Pay was a little bit better. So I went there and I was like, well, if I'm going to work here, I want to go to school too. So then I went to Mount West and did it at the same time.
So at that point, you COVID hit, you lost that job. You're like, I want something. How did the light shine on Mount West in that case? Was it because, spoiler alert, Josh was coming here already?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We're like best buds, whatever, me and him. So
sure.
Whatever he was doing, I was trying to follow his steps a little bit. So
gotcha. Well, I mean, I always like to hear, ask the question, like, how did you find out about us? And it's been interesting this semester because so far, I think, you're the fifth person I've interviewed. 2 of the 5 people have name dropped former grads. And so to some degree, you're kind of name dropping your brother who was here before you. So word of mouth is definitely a thing. So when you came here, which of our 3 concentrations did you pick? I know currently you're in security. Did you start there?
No, I started in the technically cybersecurity. I did the certificate first because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I kind of didn't want to go full into it, but I just kind of wanted to test it out a little bit. So I did their certificate program first, liked it a lot, and then switched over to the security networking side because I think I knew that Scott wasn't doing the best, and I kind of figured something was probably going to happen because he was telling us I was like that. So I just kind of switched over to that. So I I enjoy it. So
okay, because with for those out there who are not familiar, very quick little rundown. We have 3 options here. Our names are changing for them, but what I like to traditionally say is one way is the Microsoft way, the other way is the Cisco side. And in the middle of the road, the one you're doing now, you have some of the Cisco classes and some of the Microsoft classes. So you kind of have a foot in both worlds. So you can kind of be the person that comes in and do both sides of the fence. So yeah, you've been doing my Microsoft classes this second year and finishing up here. Is there any advice based on, your trajectory here, you're at the end, that you would have for people who are considering starting one of these programs, or people who are on their way through here? Anything, that you said, hey, I made this choice, it was a perfect choice, or, oh, I wish I had chosen differently? Anything like that you'd have for people?
I would say definitely don't like when the homework, it does get overwhelming sometimes, but you definitely gotta find time to get that done no matter what. I mean, it means don't go out or whatever, just do your homework, get it done.
Fair enough. I will say, having done 3 degrees myself, I can definitely smell in a classroom when I'm like, this is busy work. I don't feel like in any of our IT classes, I'll qualify it as IT classes, that we have busy work. There's a reason you're doing all that stuff. There's a skill that you're actually building. So yeah, it's all very, very valuable. And at first you may not see it. You may not be able to see the forest for the single tree that you're looking in front of, but like there's a method to that madness. So that's good advice. So at this point, you're not even doing an internship. You got a full-time position in IT, which is fantastic. That's where we want to see everybody. Tell us about your job. Like, where are you at?
Okay, so I'm an IT technician 3 at the Mardi Gras Casino in Cross Lanes. It's pretty nice job. Like everyone I work with there. I just started there like 3 weeks ago, so they don't have me doing anything crazy yet, but I just follow along if anything goes wrong for the moment.
Well, I mean, it was exciting to have you come in today, because I haven't had a chance to interview Josh yet. I know like he had done some stuff there, but like I had all kinds of questions, because for the most part, if someone works at Intiva down the hall, or they're working at Valley Health, I got a pretty good idea of what that's like. But this is doing IT in what you wouldn't think is a traditional IT job. So my first question right off the bat is like, what's day-to-day expected to be like? What type of systems do they have there? What are you doing there?
Okay, so they got all different programs for the poker side, the slot side, and stuff like that. We don't work on the machines itself. That's for the technicians for the casino.
I'm sure there has to be some separation there, because if you could get in there and mess with it and make it to where you can win millions of dollars, that wouldn't be good. You want to keep everything on the up and up.
Yeah, there's stuff where you can see like on what machines hit the most or whatever, but I haven't got that privilege yet or nothing like that. You gotta earn your little more into the job site more better.
Sure. But I imagine all those electronic slot machines, all the casino stuff, it's got to be networked together somehow, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. And it also has each machine has a card swipe, so like the members, stuff like that, they keep track of like how much each person wins if they're a member and stuff like that. So recently, one of the rows had the whole entire system go down. So me and a guy named Walker, that's his name, we went there and found out that the network, when their technicians were moving stuff out of it, messed up one of the cords. Right.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't know, right? But all the stuff was red. So we had to go in there and found out that the cord was actually broken. So we had to rewire the whole entire thing and stuff like that. So
physical layer, man.
Yeah.
Is it plugged in?
Yeah.
Or is it jacked up?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's kind of cool there with the card swipes, because that kind of reminds me of like, having to do some sort of like authentication system, like multi-factor authentication. So that's really cool. I'd also imagine too, are you having to deal with the, what's the word I'm wanting to say? I mean, I'm thinking like CCTV, but like the DVRs where they had the cameras and you're recording all that stuff. Are you having to deal with that system?
No, I don't mess with that system at all.
Okay.
That's one first thing they told us. Look, we have our own IT closets, have all the switches and stuff in it. And then the security side has their stuff. And they said, look, we don't mess with them. They mess with all that stuff, but we mess with all the other stuff that goes around in the whole entire casino.
Fair enough. Well, I just knew like, a lot of switches can do power over Ethernet, and you put a camera wherever you want. And so I didn't know if that was an area you had to deal with. So, but so mainly, are you having to deal with, I'd imagine like you're going to have point of sale computers, like someone come in, they pay something, they pay out. Is that an area you're having to deal with as well?
We deal with that. And the kiosk, there's kiosks we got to check. Like every time when I come in, I have to do a walkthrough. So I walk through like 3 IT closets every morning to make sure there's nothing going on. One, make sure the AC is running in one of them because the room gets hot. So you got to make sure the AC is running in that one. And we go to the hotel beside it. We mess with that stuff over there too. And then we got to come by and where they cook the food, and there's like restaurants in there. They have the TVs on there, or not TVs, but the monitors like have where all the food and stuff orders, stuff like that. So make sure all that stuff is running, and that's pretty much it. That's what I do in the morning every time.
Gotcha. Well, because ultimately those TVs that have menus, there's a computer that has to send out a signal someplace, so you have to deal with that. So fair enough. So I would wonder too, based on the day-to-day stuff you're doing, how much of what you've done here translates over. Like, have you been able to apply a lot of your skills you've gotten from here? Or has it been like, wow, this is a big blind spot that Patrick should know about to be teaching about, that type of thing?
It definitely helped out a lot. There's courses like they have their own little programs, so it's kind of hard to, you gotta learn little stuff like that, and it's a little different than what I've been teaching here. But it definitely helped out a lot for sure.
Good. So do you, as the IT guy going around doing this, are you going to have to interact with fellow employees that are not that technical?
Yes.
So like, one of the big tenets we have here is a thing called cultural intelligence, being able to, at the high level, talk to somebody from a different culture. But I feel like for us, IT is a culture. And so then having to convey something to somebody else, what tips and tricks, like how do you go about trying to get that person who's a non-techie to be able to pull the information out of them you need, or to have them fix the thing you need to on their level?
Pretty much got to simplify everything. You can't go too much in detail with people like that. You'll just lose them. So you just got to simplify as best as you can. Don't like talk down to them or nothing like that. Obviously, just try to be normal and just explain as best you can to them.
I think that's really, really good advice. Had you already, you definitely already had jobs, because you mentioned you had worked doing the AutoCAD stuff, and you'd also worked at Home Depot. So along those lines, I often think about the people out there who have yet to have a job and they fear the unknown, or potentially they've had a job and they're worried about, how's my IT job going to be different? So I guess a 2-part question. When it comes to, you of having a job, you working, doing drafting, that type of thing, were there things you assumed were going to happen, or the way it was going to be, and you were surprised? Like for people that haven't had a job before, were there expectations you had and you're like, oh, it was totally different than what I thought? And then to tack onto that, did the IT job surprise you as well? Was there things different there?
The IT job, for the most part, I like it a lot more because it's just not as what's the word I'm looking for? It's not crazy. Like it's not as crazy yet for me, at least.
Right.
Most part, it's just been handling small little tickets here and there. But like when I worked at like Home Depot and stuff like that, I mean that job can get pretty crazy. Like just dealing with people nonstop. It's just a different, slower pace a little bit.
I did a pretty long stint in retail. I worked at Walmart, and the thing I used to always find was it was never ending. One of the blessings that I love of being here, first off, I get to interact with you all. I get to like impart with you all knowledge, but there's also this really amazing thing where you're going to graduate. And so like I have kind of an end point with you all, and then I have a whole new group of students. And it always felt like that at Walmart, the second I put up a new modular and I got it all nice, 5 seconds later, I had to put up a new one. Like it never felt like I had some finality. And so, and then also you never knew what fires you were going to come into that day at work. So the cool thing there, you were mentioning, when you go to work each day, you get to go ahead and do your walk around, double check your equipment. You have a starting point there, and then you get to leave, and then you get to start it all back the next day. So, sounds like it's a little bit less frenetic for you there than in retail.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any advice you would have for people when they are going out and doing their job, whether it's as an internship, as a kind of a part-time job, or whether it's a full-time job, that you think would be useful for them? Things that you learned along the way you wish you knew when you went out there in the field?
Don't call out as much. I mean, like when I worked in retail, everyone called out a lot, and so I think it's frowned upon. But just new jobs like that, extra jobs, you want to be there on time and show up. That's the main thing, is just showing up. What everyone says, just show up to work.
I agree with that. I know that there's potentially, like you were talking about everyone calling off at work, there's a potential where if you're working at a Home Depot and you're like, what's the matter if I, show up or whatever? I don't even want this job anyway. That job that you have now, working at a McDonald's, a Burger King, wherever, you may think it seems trivial now, but I would have to think, even for you working at the Home Depot, you got a lot of experience in customer service. That's going to be a useful line on your resume. I know it's not IT based, but it shows that you can stick with that. And, I assume you're there when you want to get a paycheck. So like try to go there, but definitely I could understand where going to a job that you love could definitely be more motivation to wake up each morning and get there on time. I get that. But keep in mind that every job you have is a building block towards one you want in the future. Like you are logging time and being able to show somebody that you're a known quantity and then you've worked at these places. And then those people can also be great references for you on your resume so that you can get another job out there. So yeah, it's very, very useful. So keep that in mind. I want to go ahead and open this up to questions. If anybody has any questions out there today for Nathan, you can go ahead and put them out there in the comment. Well, Rod here in class has a question for you. Going forward for you, do you see yourself staying working on the physical layer side of things or pivoting to a more software side of networking?
Probably definitely stick to the physical layers, in my opinion. That's what I think I'm going to try to stick to.
So along those lines, I would assume that's kind of going to be more of like router switches, firewalls, wiring, that type of thing. So fair enough. And you get to do a lot of that. Like you say, you've got monitors in the cafe, you've got all these electronic slot machines. And so you've got a lot of topology to keep running.
TVs everywhere in the gaming place. There's rows of TVs and you got to make sure everything's up and running. So.
Gotcha. I know somebody out here mentioned they never thought about Mardi Gras up there. I had just to throw out there as a comment, I had a student one semester who was doing IT at, I think it's called Sandy, which I believe maybe down in Cannonsburg. So we got a couple little casino places out there that could be possible. More of a niche area there in IT. At this point going forward, you are set to graduate in May. What's next for you? Are you going to do this full-time job? Are you considering furthering your education? You're going to get some certifications, that type of thing.
Yeah,
what's next for you?
Try to get the security certification, Security Pro. That's my goal. I want to do. And I would definitely want to work this job for at least like 2 years, something like that. And definitely like get really good familiar with everything and then try to see what I can get going on from there.
Well, Nathan, thank you so much for coming in, talking about your trajectory into IT and your fascinating career at doing IT at a casino. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.